Hey you guys, it's your girl AJ, the Glamour Witch, and I am back for another video. So today's video is going to be a candle magic working. This is a spell that I really enjoy when I am trying to shift my mindset, when I'm trying to be in alignment with what I'm calling in, but there might be some internal programmings that need to be adjusted so that I can actually manifest it and be in alignment with it. Now this work is really powerful and can penetrate very deeply, and the side effects of this can result in you actually delving deeper into your greater issues. So I think it's something that you should, I don't want to say be cautious with, but be prepared to experience. But this can be a really powerful way of being able to get a hold of negative thinking, being able to kind of stay in a mindset that you need to execute a certain task, and also help you to deal with certain things that maybe on a subconscious level keep coming up that are shaping your behavior, your personality, the way that you're showing up in the world. And so that way you can actually truly step into your power in the way that you want. So if you're interested in learning more, just keep watching.
Oh wait, she's magic. Flip a whole vibe, make it better. Handing out blessings.
So, like I said, this spell is called Style My Mind, Style Your Mind. And it really brings me back to this really great book that I read a while ago. It actually is called Style Your Mind. And it is about shifting your mindset and your thinking. Now, this book is really great, and I will have it here on the screen so that you guys can go check it out for yourselves. But I love the idea of going in and actually addressing the ways that you're thinking, the ways that you're processing your behavior, the ways that you're moving, right? And dealing from it in a subconscious way. Now, whenever we do spell work, whenever we do candle magic, that's exactly what we're doing intentionally, right? We're dealing with the spiritual, the underlying. We're seeking for this magic to penetrate deeply, not in just a superficial way, but to penetrate deeply into the psyche so that it can manifest in the physical reality. It has to land there first for it to, show up in our physical reality. We have to be attuned to it, aligned to it. And this is a great way to address some of those things that may be getting in your way. It's also a great candle working to see what your blockages still are, right? Like, what is it exactly that is getting in the way of you being able to shift your mindset around what it is that you are capable of, how you feel about yourself, any of those programmings. And I'm going to walk you through that with this candle magic working. I kind of want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing here, because this work is probably going to freak out some people because of the nature of the work, but I want to just break it down so that it's a little less scary for anybody who's going to be watching this and being like, wait, why is she using a skull candle? Like, what the fuck is going on? First of all, bitch, it's how we do this work, right? It's important for us to have a physical representation of the mind, and a skull candle is really, really great for that. So you'll see me in the working kind of go over all the different steps, and I'll also go over the functions of a spell candle, like a skull candle, a figure candle, right? So a skull candle has many different types of workings. You can do a change your mind spell, which this is kind of a change your mind spell, but if you're doing it for someone else, a skull candle is really great for that. It can be great for addressing, it can be great for cursing, it can be great for protection, it can be great for giving yourself more clarity, peace of mind, helping you with things that have to do with studying, memory, right? The things that have to do with the head space, your crown chakra, if you're trying to work on your crown chakra and your third eye, maybe even your ability to speak, right? There's a lot of uses for skull candles that aren't just like what I think people assume when you're burning a skull candle that you're doing some type of like negative, nasty workings. Although you can absolutely do cursings with a spell candle, with a skull candle, right? You can absolutely do that. But this working is purely and simply rooted in helping us address our internal headspace so that we can kind of get a hold of it and shift it, and also kind of see like the power of candle magic is not just in terms of like doing the magic and manifesting that intention, but reading the spell work, reading the candles and seeing, okay, what is this that I'm struggling with? Did this manifest the way that I wanted to. How is it manifesting? Was it depicted in the way that the candle burnt down, right? There's elements to this that can actually inform us. So there's multiple layers of this working that can be beneficial to you overall, not just the actual initial doing it, but even in the aftermath of exploring, okay, I still have some challenges, or I still have some blockages, or this landed exactly the way that I had intended and even better than I thought, right? Everyone's experience is going to be different depending on what you're trying to shift. Now, again, I am not professing that this is like an end all be all to all negative thinking. If you have any mental health issues, you're going to want to make sure that you seek professional help for that. This is not something that's going to help you spiritually bypass things that need medical professional help, right? This can be great in tandem with things like therapy, with things like just doing the basic things for yourself, getting yourself into a healthy environment, talking about what's going on with you, really clearing your head, creative writing, things of that nature. Don't skip the other things to do this work, to bypass that. It's not going to do what you think it's going to do. And also, this spell working, I've done this many times, it has a way of taking you in a different direction than you had originally thought, because what we think in the initial point of doing the working is what we want, or what's going to get us there, or how we want to feel. We don't know what's going to break us out of the mode that we're in to get us there. And so you have to be prepared mentally with other types of strategies and other types of tools in your tool belt to kind of couple that. So things like shadow work and therapy, and just having a really great support system around you in tandem with this working can make it even more beneficial, right, than just doing this work and expecting it to change your entire life. So let's talk about the candle, okay? Now, a skull candle is really great, like I said before, for affecting the mind and the soul. Now, the reason why we like to use skull candles is because there are elements to the mind or the brain even that can be depicted through actually utilizing a skull candle. So different parts of the brain actually affect different functions of how a person is showing up. Now, the reason why this specific working is so intentionally powerful and why people use this in things like cursing is because it can impact a person's cognitive functions, their movement, their vision. All types of things can be infiltrated through the power of this type of candle working. Now, we are not doing this for dubious or nefarious or cursing and hexing reasons. So we're not going to be looking at it from that perspective. And again, I don't want to freak anyone out, because I know some people are going to be like, well, I don't even want to do it. Like, people use these things for different things, for healing. Let's say you have some issues with your vision or your eyes or memory. You can use a skull candle to help address those things and provide healing and alleviation of tension by pinpointing the parts of the brain that are responsible for that specific function in the body and in the mind, right? So we're going to be using that same method. So when you see me do the candle working, which I will break down step by step, you'll see me directing these energetic pins, and even when I go to oil the candle, I will be rubbing it into certain sections and certain spaces. We're gonna really focus on the frontal lobe, and that is because the frontal lobe is responsible for your personality, for your judgment, your planning. It's responsible for your emotions, your behaviors, your speaking, writing, and body movements, and your self-awareness, your concentration, and your intellect. So that frontal lobe area is where we're really going to center our magic to penetrate that thought process, right? Those affirmation, those things. Now, whatever your petition paper is, it should also be something that can be turned into a affirmation for you. So something that you can come back to later and continue to speak over yourself and activate through the power of speaking it, right? Or reading it, or whatever the case may be. So pick a petition. If you have to write it out on a separate piece of paper or in a journal or a booklet or something like that, and then come back to it every so often and just reread it to yourself to activate the magic once more, to just keep feeding it, then do that. But make sure that whatever your petition is, it is also the thing that you will use as an affirmation. So if it's not something that you will use as an affirmation, it doesn't feel right to you to use as an affirmation, find another way to word it, right? We want to really make sure that we're very careful about the things that we're saying, right? Careful about the things that we're writing. Careful about the way that we're speaking to ourselves. And this requires us to have a little bit of awareness of where we want to go, our end goal and result, and where we are right now. So for me, when I've done this in the past, I've done this for many different reasons. The first time I did it, it was purely to have clarity and peace of mind. I felt like there was a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time, and I just felt like I was just being overwhelmed with so much information, and I couldn't create the things that I wanted to. I couldn't make music like I wanted to. I just felt like there was this cloud over my head, and I couldn't get a hold of the feelings, the emotions, just everything was just so, there was just a cloud over my head, literally. And I knew that I could do magic to fix it, but I never really thought about using a spell candle such as a skull candle for a working like this until I was gifted this book, which is so funny. It's called Cursing and Crossing. There's a skull on the front of it. By Miss Ada, and she goes into talking about how to bless a skull candle. Now, I had seen other types of skull candle workings for cursing and hexing, and I always just thought that that's what it was used for. But when I looked at what she had put out there, and I also found some rituals just out in the ether in a couple of books around clarity of mind, they just use certain colors or whatever the case may be, and instead it wasn't a skull candle, it was something else. I would see change your mind spells to get someone to change their mind. I'm like, well, why can't I do that for myself? You know what I mean? Like, why can't I just do that on myself? Why do I need to like make this about somebody else? Like, it's my mind that I need help with, right? So the first time I did it, I really took I kind of had a chaos magic moment, and I took a practice or a ritual, not practice, but a ritual that I had discovered through a YouTuber here on YouTube. What's her name? I think it was Ember Honeyraven. I'm not 100% sure, but just because this was years ago. And I also had found a peace of mind spell in a book that I had been reading at the time that my friend let me borrow. And I was like, okay, well, what if I combined these same things? A lot of them had the same ingredients. They were using similar colors. And I liked the chant and the incantation that they had included in the spell working. So I decided to kind of make my own, based off of the information that I had received in those books, make my own spell. And the results were overwhelming, to the point where I'm just having flashbacks of the candle working. I was living in this apartment with somebody at the time, and I had it on the altar. It was burning. I burned it the night before, and I woke up in the morning to a cloud of my entire room was smoky. I'm in this cloud of smoke. So I rushed to the balcony to open up, because my room had a balcony. I opened the balcony to let all the smoke out. The smoke detectors are going off. I put it in the bathtub because I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I found out never to put water on the on your candles when they're burning. You always put baking soda. That's how you put out a candle fire, because it spit and went everywhere. The candle was it was all burnt, right? It was just the oil, and I had loaded the candle with the petition paper. So that was what was on fire. What was burning was the petition paper. There was no more wax on the tray. All the wax was gone, and now it was just this singular piece of paper being lit on fire. So the spell burnt all the way around. My supporting candles were completely gone. And other than the fact that I had to put it out because it was smoking up my room, typically I would say when there's no wax left behind, or when everything has melted down and been impacted by the flame, it's a pretty good sign that the spell was successful, right? So after freaking everybody out, freaking out my damn self, my roommate was kind of pissed. I decided, okay, you know, and what's funny is every time I've done this, the smoke detector has gone off, because once you get down to the paper part, there is a little bit of a smoke situation. So if you don't want to load it, don't worry about it. But I find that anytime I do it, a lot of energy goes into the work, and the candle flame is just really, really, really high. So it's so funny because each time it's happened, I put it out successfully, and I was like, okay, whew. I pulled cards on it. It said that I got the Ace of Swords, which is like the clarity card. And I think I got something like the Six of Cups, and something else that was like rooted in like emotional healing, like inner child healing, stuff like that. I was like, okay, this is a good sign. Okay. And for the next few weeks, I was able to produce the album my first album, which was Venus and Aquarius. And I also was able to not allow some of the chaos that was going on in my life at that time to impact me. Like, I still to this day, I'm like, I cannot fucking believe that I can't fucking believe that I was able to get through all of that, because any other time, any other situation, on top of the fact that I was trying to produce my first album, I also had the amazing opportunity to have a listening party, which I was entirely in charge of planning and creating and designing and getting together. I'm, in the studio every week. I'm trying to figure out how to distribute it. I'm learning all this stuff at this, in this short period of time, and trying to put all this together on my own while having some drama playing out in my personal life and my living situation. And there was just so much happening. I was able to get a hold of my thinking, get a hold of myself, and move away from where I was at and take control of my reality. I was able to find a stillness and a peace within myself that allowed me to focus on what was needed and not feed into the chaos that was around me. And that's really what I was looking for in the spell working, and that's exactly what I got. And it lasted for a while, it lasted for as long as it needed to last to get me through what I needed to get through. It didn't mean that things weren't stressful or things weren't didn't piss me off, but I definitely saw a turnaround in how I was handling it. The next time that I would do it would be for getting over a specific, so there was a specific incident that had happened that I could not stop replaying in my mind. And I didn't want to erase the memory, but I wanted to change the way that I felt about the memory. And I had done other types of workings on it, and I had tried to just whatever. And it wasn't until I did the pinpointing with this type of working that I was able to get control over, okay, you know what? I'm approaching this wrong. It changed my perspective, right? But the avenue in which it took me to get to that perspective was not what I thought it was going to be. I did not think I was going to get there in that way. I had to experience some other situations, and that's what changed my perspective. I did get what I asked for, but it just didn't come in the way that I was hoping. I was just thinking I was going to wake up the next day and my mindset was shifted, and I, whatever. But oftentimes there needs to be some type of a catalyst to help you make that change. And so I had the catalyst, I made the change, and I got what I had asked for. The next time I would do it would be for money, to have a money mindset, to change my money mindset, to help me address my money issues, lack mentality, which would help me to push myself to start my first online course for my business, for my Glamour Magic class. So it really helped me there. And then the next time I would do it again would be for self-love reasons, right? For empowering myself, seeing myself in a way where I'm like, okay, I'm not only deserving of the recognition that I'm calling into my life, but into my business as well. And that I can stand in the light and I can stand in front of people and really share my truth. And then the next time that I would do it would be for a similar thing as well, self-love, right? And this time I'm doing it for a similar thing as well, but there's some other layers to it. And I will talk a little bit about this because I'm filming this after I have already lit it up. The point that I'm making by sharing all of this with you is that there's a myriad amount of ways for you to use this work. It really is about you understanding the placement and understanding where you want to impact and affect and what it is that you're trying to achieve, right? And then also, again, not skipping any of the real world tangible things that you personally can do to help aid you in the work. Journaling, talking about it, sharing, opening up, being okay with whatever emotional release has to happen for those things to move, right? Because oftentimes what happens is it's getting stuck in the mind because it hasn't had a chance to move through the body. You haven't expressed it, you haven't talked about it, you haven't really dealt with it, and so it gets trapped here, right? And so if you're feeling compelled or driven as a result of this work to talk to a friend, go to counseling, make a certain move, make a shift, whatever the case may be, do what you're being called to do. Work with the magic. And I think that could be said with any type of spell working that you do, but especially with this one, because a part of the work that we're doing is like, if you're trying to impact your behavior and your personality and your movements and the way that you talk and the way that you emote and your self-awareness, you have to also let it come out in your physicality and let it come out in those ways that you want to see it impacted. So for me, I've been noticing like one of the big things that have been really heavy for me since I did the working was I've been needing a lot more rest than I had originally thought. And that was really frustrating because I was like, no, but I want to work. I want to do this. I want to, and what I needed was a break. What I needed was rest. What I've been needing is rest. And I also have been feeling a little restless. I've been fighting against like the feeling guilty for not working and being productive, and fighting against, okay, I should be resting. I should be taking the time that I need. I shouldn't be pushing myself past the point of like hanging on by a thread so I can do one more project, so I can do one more thing, So that is an identification that I didn't have in the process of like where I was getting stuck in, and what was happening. Also, other things came up about relationships and like my physical body. Like a lot of things were coming up that I was like, okay, these are things that I hadn't really assessed as a part of the blockage that's stopping me from getting where I'm at. Even though the mindset was, or the intention was for me to feel these certain things about myself, to stand in this energy, to be this individual person, right? Or to be this version of myself. But you just have to trust the process of how the work is working, right? This specific type of a spell is so special and unique because it can be utilized in so many different ways if you are patient with yourself, if you're very clear on your intention. And I'm telling you guys, you need to make sure that petition paper is crystal fucking clear. Do not be lazy. Don't just say whatever. And you can sit there and put for your highest, greatest good. I think that that's always good to put on the back of it, but you just need to be clear, right? And if what you're lacking is clarity, then that's what you need to be doing. Don't put, I think I'm a bad bitch and like I have no worries in my mind. Like, don't do that if really what you need is, I want to be more honest about what's on my mind. I want to be more fearless in talking about what's on my heart, because you don't know what it takes to get to that, right? You have no idea what is going to require of us to get the things that we want, right? From the working. And so be very specific and realistic with yourself. Like, if you have these big and lofty goals, you don't have to do everything in this one working. You don't have to fix everything that you feel like is a problem in your mind in this one working. And I highly discourage you from trying to do one big grandiose sweeping thing. You should pinpoint one specific thing, work on that one thing, and before you move on to something else. The magic will be more effective. You'll be able to get a clear, angle and view on whether or not it worked and whether or not there's something else that needs to be addressed. And you won't have to worry about this big sweeping energy coming over you. It's more likely that it wouldn't even manifest at all than it would manifest into something that would be maybe a little bit overwhelming. But for me, I've done this enough times to know that as long as I'm really honest, radically honest with myself about what's going on, I always come out on the other end getting what it is that I want, what I was asking for. It just usually doesn't come in the way that I had originally planned. So I'm going to walk you through how to do the ritual and the spell. I wanted to just kind of give you that breakdown and just share that with you so that you can kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. But I'm going to get into that right now, and you can actually learn how to do this. Feel free to add different types of herbs that are in alignment with what your specific intention is. I'm only adding the herbs for my specific intention, and I'll share what that is, a little bit of what that is, just like the overall energies of what that is with you. I'm not going to give you the exact petition, but I will share with you what it is that the energies that I'm going to be calling in, and then you'll understand why I use certain colors and I use certain oils and herbs and things of that nature. So you can actually customize this for your specific intention, okay? So let's get started. All right, so as you can see, I have my white skull candle, 2 red and 2 pink pillar candles. Now, I am going to cleanse them with smoke. I'm using frankincense here to just prepare them for the magic work that I'm doing. Now, I will be using red for passion and for speed, and I'll be using pink to incorporate self-confidence and self-love into the working. This type of a candle, I'm going to load it, which basically means the bottom part here will be opened up and I will put in some ingredients. So I'm carefully taking a knife and I'm just carving out the bottom to get a deep enough hole in there so that I can actually start packing it. So I'm using some blood ink that I have a recipe on. And I also will be adding in some of my hair. You can use nail clippings. You can use anything that is basically a representation of you. It's a tag lock. And this just connects the work more to you. And what better way to tag it to you than using hair from your actual head in the work. And then I'll be sprinkling in some dragon's blood for some added protection. Now I'm going to just pack it back up with the wax. So as you can see, I'm just filling it, and then I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to basically melt that wax. Once it's a liquid, then I can actually kind of pack it in again with some more, and that process will just build over and over again until that hole is completely filled and we have a flat base. Now it's time to anoint our pins. This is a process that I'm going to be doing to help us to pinpoint where we want the magic to hit. So I'm anointing it with my creative inspiration oil from the honeyjar.us, and then I'll bless and activate that for my desired outcome. Then I'm going to put it in the areas that we're pinpointing, the frontal lobe here, as you can see, and I'm going to just push those pins into that area. That is the area that we want the magic to impact and to affect. So as you can see, I'm just pushing it in here. I'm also going to be using the Savage oil from the honeyjar.us, and this is for fearlessness and self-confidence. Again, you're going to pick an oil that represents your intention, so just keep that in mind. And this is how it should look at the end. Now this is a oil from Bossy Bruja, her bliss oil. It's really great for bringing in joy. And so I'm gonna be anointing, you're gonna see me anoint the candle now with a couple of different oils that are in alignment with my intention. So again, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're aligning yourself with that petition paper. So it's gonna be different for you, but these are the oils I'm using for my intention. And I'm just gonna anoint the entire candle with that oil. So now we're making our herbal blend. Mullein is great for spells that have to do with affecting the mind. And so because we're doing that work, I'm going to be using mullein here. I'm also going to be using bone set. This is to help with self-sabotaging behaviors, to protect yourself against that. I'm using orange blossom to bring in a sense of joy and optimism to my thinking about myself and the things that I desire in my life. Every step of the way, I am going to be blessing and activating all of this. So just know that feverfew is to add some protection here from negative thinking and from going down a dark path with any of the stuff that may come up to be addressed. And then I'm just going to mix that up and get it into a fine powder. So we are sprinkling our herbal mixture on the candle, and this is going to be the same herbal mixture that I'll be adding to our supporting candles. So you see I have my red and my pink here, and I'm going to first start by inscribing on the red candle what it is that I want, what it is that I'm asking for. Again, this is going to be different for you because whatever your intention is going to match the color that you're going to choose, as well as whatever it is that's going to be said, right? And then I'm going to basically place them in certain directions. So the pink candles are in the front and the back, which have to do with physical reality and the mind. And then these two red candles, which is for speed and for power, are on the future and the past side of the plate. So I'm directionally, intentionally placing these. I'm going to anoint them with certain oils that for me are in alignment. This is my Mars Empowerment Oil. I'm going to dress them, and then I'm going to sprinkle that same herbal mixture over each and every candle. Of course, blessing and activating and setting my intentions along the way. We are coming towards the end here with our beautiful flowers. Now this is an optional step, but I find that it adds a little bit more intention to the work. I'm going to be using white roses, pink roses, and these really gorgeous like orangey red roses as well. And so the white roses bring in clarity, they bring in peace. They also bring in healing, which I really, really love. I'll also be using pink roses for self-love and just, feeling more loving energy within my own mind. And then the orange ones are going to be there for creativity and inspiration and joy. So pick flowers that are going to match your intention. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's going to be different every time. I don't always use roses when I do this work. Sometimes I don't have these colors, right? Based off of your petition, as you see, I'm holding mine up here, which I'm going to place underneath the candle. That's what you're going to want to kind of use as a guideline. So if it calls for something else, then use something else. I'm also going to be using gold magnetic sand. This is just going to add an attraction element to attract more positive thinking to my mental space. I'm going to bless it one more time with the smoke, and then I'm going to light this bad boy up and let the magic do what it does. Alright you guys, so that is it. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this. I haven't done a video like this in a while, and I'm really just missing this format of candle magic and then sharing it with you guys and teaching you how to do this spell. I miss this format. Let me know also down below if you've ever worked with skull candles in this capacity. I'd love to know what kind of things that you would use it for. If you've done this work before, what's your results? And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, you know what to do. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Be blessed.
Come and cast a spell with me. Come and cast a spell with me. Come and cast a spell with me.